Hi guys, this is Konkan Mahanta from Bangalore, India, and I'm a crazy tennis fan, and this whole entire video is to basically reach out to the entire tennis fraternity of India, and and also to let people know as to what's happening in the Indian tennis scenario today. For those of you all who are really interested in tennis, who would like to know a little bit about Indian tennis as to how it's been doing off late, and also would like to know a little bit about the history of Indian tennis for all those people who might not be, have been following tennis off too much, but have been doing it off late, and also maybe reaching out to people abroad who obviously wants to know as to what's happening back here in India. So this entire video is for all of you, basically, for all of us, basically, who are really interested in knowing as to what's happening in the tennis front in India. Uh, Now, to really know about what's happening in tennis in India, we of course have to go a little back and also try to see the history of Indian tennis as to who have actually created this whole platform, the whole ecosystem for tennis to really evolve as a game, and where we stand is basically because what had been happening, for the past few years. To start off, of course, we had somebody like Ramanathan Krishnan, who really, brought India on the tennis map during his age and time. Of course, those were the amateur days, but very important for him to really contribute in his own ways, in his own big ways, so to say. And very special mention has to be given to two gentlemen, whom I really, whom I really feel that we really have not been speaking too much of late. One is Vijay Amritraj, and the second is Ramesh Krishnan. Because I think these two people have really contributed immensely to the Indian tennis. Because for an individual like Vijay Amritraj, if you see, he reached four Grand Slam quarterfinals. For a few of you who might not have followed him so much, and he in fact did that during the era of the Bjorn Borg, McEnroe, and Connors. And he also rose to as high as 16 in the singles ranking. So that's really big, I think. And the second is Ramesh Krishnan, who also have done, who also did tremendous in terms of his in terms of the contribution to the Indian tennis, because he also reached the Grand Slam on a couple of Grand Slam quarterfinal on a couple of times, and he also rose to as high as 23, in a ranking, and that this was done during the era of Boris Becker, Hadberg, and Wilander. So that is also big. But after Ramesh Krishnan, if you see, there was a big lull in Indian tennis, and there was not much of backup in terms of any individual who really had it in him to really carry it forward. But thankfully, we had Leander Paes, who really came up and took on the mantle, and he did incredible. I think Leander Paes really is one guy who has played a big role in the evolution of tennis here in India. Because if you really see, during the era of Leander Paes in the Indian scenario, if you see, there's a big difference between Leander and his peers in India. His contemporaries like Nitin Kirtane and Asif Ismail really were not on. I mean, they of course giving due respect to these guys at the same time, but if you see, there was a big gap between Leander Paes and the rest of the pack in India. Sorry. And so that's why, without the support, without the competitiveness in Indian tennis, the fact that he evolved as a player, won the junior Grand Slams like US Open, it was tremendous, and Wimbledon was also tremendous. I think that it's very important to give rich tribute to Leander Paes. For one, is that apart from the heroics in Davis Cup, he also won the bronze in the Olympics, which is really tremendous for a guy who didn't, who of course I feel didn't have a big game. He didn't have a big serve or maybe a big game overall. Of course, he was very good at net. He was I think he was one of the best at the net. Very quick hands and all that. But that was still not good enough to really be the top guys who had an overall big game. And to really, fight against all odds, and the will to win, the competitiveness that he had, was really tremendous. And that's why he could beat players like Goran Ivanisevic or Wayne Ferreira during his time, which is really commendable. And seeing Leander, of course, following Leander's footstep, we had somebody like Mahesh Bhupathi, who, along with Leander, of course, has won so many Grand Slams doubles, and in fact, just like Leander, I'd also like to. I think it's also very important to see Sania Mirza's contribution to Indian tennis overall, because if you see, you have to see that Sania Mirza uh, was one lone warrior in the ladies' front for Indian tennis. Because before Sania, if you see, apart from maybe to a very small extent, somebody like Nirupama Vaidyanathan, you really had no women's tennis player to really look up to and think that, okay, I'll also be a good tennis player on the world map. Coming from that background, from that environment, from that ecosystem, I think Sani has really done incredibly well. And for a girl like Sania Mirza to have reached as high as 35 in the singles ranking, I think that's, again, that's tremendous. And what she has been doing off late in doubles and mixed doubles front is also commendable. So this entire set of very important players have really played their own respective role in bringing tennis as an important sport, so to say, here in India. And talking about Indian tennis today, I feel that we are really, I feel that we are getting better in terms of the reach I'm talking about. For example, in India, if you talk about India's tennis scenario today, uh, I think we've got a fairly decent amount of players who are in the ranks to really do well in the times to come, headed by somebody like, of course, Yuki Bambri, who reached as high as 100. Of course. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I also have to talk about Somdev Burman, who, of course, reached as high as 63, I think, on the ATP, which is really, again, great. And Somdev, of course, has also played a very important role, in tennis. Now, talking about today, Yuki Bamri has been, apart from, of course, those injuries, I think Yuki Bamri would have been a consistent top 100 performer. But for some reason or other, it's really, I mean, it's really very, very, very frustrating at times to really see Yuki Bamri out, not being able to complete even one full season. and he starts off the year with a ranking of around 500 odd, and then again, he touches just near the 200s. Again, he is out with an injury. So it's really sad, because in tennis, you have to be playing every month, month on month, to really get enough points to be in the top 100 or so. So that's really unfortunate, but it's really good to see Yuki Bamri back, and he's playing the challenges well off late, and he's now 201 as on date. He's 201 on the ATP, and I'm sure with one full season, he will definitely crack inside 100. Now, a very exciting prospect, so to say, is Ramkumar Ramanathan, who is my personal favorite today, if you really ask me, because not only because of what he has been doing off late in terms of beating somebody like a Dominic Thiem, who was the world number 8 at the time at Antalya Open. That win straight sets. Of course, that really, somehow woke a sleeping Indian tennis nation, and brought life to the Indian tennis fraternities, saying that, wow, we've got somebody who beats a top 10 player, and this actually has happened after somebody like Leander Paes, who beat Pete Sampras way back in the 1990s. Of course, Somdev also beat somebody like Del Potro, but then Del Potro didn't complete the match. He just retired the first set. He was injured. So I think that has really, Ram Kumar has really off late been doing well, because what I've been seeing from his game, I follow Ram Kumar quite a bit. He's tall, very important. He's strongly built, so to say. He's got big serve, and also a big forehand. Yes, you might say that his backhand is not a world-class weapon. Yes, of course. But just for information, he's also improved the backhand quite a bit, because in the earlier days, even I realized that he is more comfortable slicing, slicing the backhand rather than going full blast on his backhand. But now, if you really see, he's one guy who's, I mean, the great thing about Ram Kumar is his work ethics and his a tremendous passion for the game, and also his tremendous attitude. I mean, you always see Ram Kumar on the ground, somebody who is always grounded, and he always is somebody who is willing to learn new tricks of the trade every day in and day out. Always constantly in touch with his coaches, even his earlier coaches. He pays rich tribute to. So he's one guy I think he's who can really do wonders, going forward. And he's only 22, as we speak, and I'm sure he's already 178 on the ATP, and with a little bit of improvement, maybe a little bit more on it in terms of the backhand that he's playing off late, he can really do quite well. And now coming to the next crop of players who was in the juniors rank, who's still in the juniors rank, who's trying to make it big. I think this is really exciting times for India. Somebody like Sumit Nagal, whom I've also been following quite a bit of late. He is, I think he's 19. Yes, 19 years of age, and he is now currently 305 or 306 on the ATP. And he's also somebody who has been winning consistently on the ITF futures front. But the transition now, of course, has to go slowly into the challenger front, which I think he is preparing himself for, because it's just that he had some 3 months layoff. Just before that, he was playing well on the challenger also. He was beating guys like, guys who were in the top 150 and 50 or so. But he's back again. And I think he's also somebody whom we can really look forward to. And then, of course, we have got somebody like Saket Mainani, who's, of course, no more young. He's already 28 years, but who's again back on the circuit, and he's also starting to win matches. So that's also a very good sign for India. And then, there are, this is for the first time, I think, this is the first time in India where we've got so many players, between the ranking of 200 to 500, at the same time. For example, we got somebody like Sriram Balaji, we have got somebody like Prajnesh, and a few other guys also who are lurking around 500, and inside, of course, Prajnesh and all, they are 200 plus guys. Sumit Nagal 300. So I think this is where the depth of Indian tennis is something to be really taken seriously, because, for example, when we had a Leander Paes, we only had Leander Paes, that's all. But now if you see, the depth of Indian tennis is good, and they can only get better. So that's as far as the men's, section is concerned. Now coming to the women's section also, I think it's quite an exciting time for the women's Indian tennis also. Because apart from Ankita Raina in the singles front, who has been, yes, slogging it out day in and day out. Currently, she is 270. I know she had a few good wins last month, but she's been stuck in around that ranking of 270, 290. A few months back, she was again out of 300, but she's fighting. But apart from Ankita Raina, if you really ask me, very strong prospect is in the form of Karman Kaur Thandi, a tall girl, big serve, good forehand, a good overall game, and she's only 19, and she's already inside 350, and she can only get stronger. And the good thing is that she's already out of India, playing in abroad in the tennis academies, and she's got a weapons which can really hurt the top players in the coming years, I feel. And I think Karman Kaur Thande is really somebody to really look forward to. And as we are talking today, she in fact reached the third round of the ITF in Thailand. And in fact, last week she beat the world number 135, I think, in straight sets, which is again a big thing for a girl who is only 19. and can only get better. And apart from Karman, we also have got somebody like Jil Desai, who has been doing well in the juniors and also trying to now make the transition to the next level, in terms of the seniors. So I think these are the players who are really, doing, who are really making us believe that India is at the cusp of something good, if not great, in the coming 5 6 years, because we've got the juniors back us up, and also especially mention about Adil Kalyanpur, who might not be making waves in terms of his ranking. But of what I've been seeing of late, one is that he's tall, he's got a huge frame, 6'3", I think he's also got a good decent game. He's only 16, very important, 16 years, and he's playing in Nadal's academy, and so that's again exposure that only a few privileged like Adil Kalyanpur can have, with the backing of his own parents, because with the kind of cost involved per year to take care of a tennis player who's trying to make big, or who's trying to turn pro, you need at least 50 to 70 lakh, rupees, Indian rupees per year, for your kid to play in the ITFs, in the futures, trying to qualify for the challengers, training, this and that. You need at least it's 50 to 70 lakhs per year, which of course that goes on to show that it's not typical middle class game. So this is where people like Mahesh Bhupathi has played a good role, in supporting youngsters like Sumit Nagal and all. And of course, people like Rohan Bopanna also coming up with a tennis academy like RBTA, wherein he's getting some very good coaches from abroad, trying to give the right platform to the tennis players in a place like Bangalore. So that's where I think the Indian tennis is getting the right support, but of course a long way to go. And in fact, only a few years back, somebody like UK Bamri had to do something like a crowdfunding, to get enough fund to fund his own travels and expense. So when a tennis player who has got enough talent has to fend off for himself, without sponsorship, so that's, I don't think it's a very good sign. But on the positive side, if you really see, I've realized, I mean, many of you might not support me, but I feel that whoever has talent has got the right platform as of now. Maybe they knew how to get the right contact or so. Maybe they were all helped with. For example, Karman Kaur Thandi, she's got good support. Someone like Sumit Nagal, he's got good support from a guy like Mahesh Bhupathi. Then talking about somebody like Ankita Raina, she has been supported good by the Gujarat Association. Likewise, if you see people who have got the right talent in tennis, I think they've got the right backing. So ultimately, of course, I don't want to say it's all about results, but there's still a lot more to do, and in terms of the tennis infrastructure, maybe, and very importantly, sponsorship part also has to be taken care of for Indian tennis to really go to the next level. But this is the right time for all of us, to really come forward and support our tennis players and really make it big, in the next couple of years to come, wherein we can really, cheer for our own guys in a Grand Slam, so to say. Of late, we have seen very, very good, if not great players in doubles. But now is the time for us to really excel in singles also, and with the right support. With the right support from the government, from the state associations, from sponsors, I'm sure our guys who got the talent, who have really shown enough talent that they can really beat the best, in the world. I think, with the right support, we can definitely do it. So it's my earnest request for all of you, including me, of course, to really support our guys in whatever form we can. Today I can only give a direction to maybe a tennis player as to how to approach a tennis academy, or maybe how to approach with my own capability. I'm saying for example, I can also maybe give him a direction as to how to approach a tennis scholarship program in the US. But that's it. I can't do beyond that. and at the same time maybe there is somebody else who can do much more than that. So whoever can do his one little bit, it's really time for us to really come forward and make it happen for tennis in India. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much. Thanks. Have a great day.